Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about challenges. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, as a software engineer, do you get bored when you don't have enough challenges? And is it that is a challenging job for you do you want your job to be challenging for it to be fulfilling? Yes, because I'm a masochist or whatever it's called. Uh, I like pain. It's that simple. Uh, I don't really find any enjoyment from having things too easy. I want to have things easy when I feel like it, but for the most part, I want to be put in a position where I have to think my way out of a situation, and that is, luckily for me, the default state for any software developer. And to me, it is completely unthinkable to work in an environment where I just do these basics. It's actually the main driver as to why I became a software developer. I remember when I was a kid, I was 12 years old, and I took a summer job at my dad's factory, and this was my first introduction to a working person's life, right? And my job for that summer was one of two things, usually. Either I had to stand at a counter, pull out a sheet of plastic, and cut it at exactly at a certain length for 8 hours, or I had to take a gigantic rack of pipe and pull out a pipe and put a label on it and then put it in the next pile for 8 hours. The job was so unfulfilling and boring to me that I think it's, honest to God, I think it scarred me for life. I still remember it. I can to this day recall the pain that I had. It's almost post-traumatic type of stuff, right? Where like being bored today is pure torture to me. I will pick being stressed every single day of the week over being bored. But what that did actually teach me was that I cannot do menial work in that fashion and be happy at the same time. I can be relaxed. I can sit and if we're talking meditation or something like that, that's a different thing, right? And maybe now that I'm a lot older, things might have changed. But that actually spurred me to going out on a soul-searching journey and trying to really find what I wanted to do with my life, rather than just pick a job for the sake of making, just having a job or making money early on, right? And so for me, it's the same sort of thing. Nothing makes me as fulfilled when I do work as trying to figure out how to solve a really, really complicated problem. Now, the problem is that the better you get at software development, the harder it is to find a problem that is difficult to solve. Most of them are just tedious to solve. I'll give you an example. So it used to be the case when I was a junior that I thought a hard problem was to build a standard way of working, like a standard component library for UI stuff, or a standard library for doing different types of logic on the server, depending on what you're doing, right? That used to be a complicated problem. And then after I did that, I thought that a complicated problem was to create a clean architecture that can scale and is comprehensible to a lot of people. And then you sort of realize that your code is never going to be perfect, because you have other people who are at different stages in their development. So what your best bet is always to bet on making what I call disposable code. And so that became a very simple problem, and today it's actually funny because it's for me it's such a standard problem that I never have any issues with it. Literally never. It's like almost it's almost so standard for me to solve that problem now that for a lot it's it's like being a mover or a carpenter or something. Like you're just gonna do one of those standard jobs. You're gonna go and fix the leaky pipe or something like that. You don't even have to think about it anymore. So I mean, a lot of people don't know how to do it, but you have done it so many times now that it's like you don't even. I mean, you're like checking. You're thinking about what you're gonna eat for dinner while you're fixing the thing, right? And then now, or rather, this until very recently, I saw. Well, after that part, it felt like most of what I'm doing in IT became a very trivial problem. So when I got the chance to work on a project where I had to had to create an algorithm or a solution that categorizes what, in this case it was a subscription, what is a subscription and what is a one-time payment in a gigantic data set of transactions. I was very excited because it's basically an impossible problem to solve, or rather it is an extremely hard problem to solve. It's the same sort of type of problem that Google has with search relevancy. You can't solve it in a perfect way. That's not possible, but you can get really good at solving that problem. And so that's what excites me right now, and that's why I have a personal project where I face off against that sort of issue, where I'm creating building on a system that it's basically a fantasy role-playing type of resource management system, and the problem there is not to manage the resources. The problem is to create them in batches, in gigantic batches, because as you can imagine, if you're gonna have a lot of people, that's how it works today, right? You create your own content, but I want to leverage the fact that there's already machine learning and AI models today that can create certain pieces of content, and not just have data producers that are not humans. Now that is an enormously complicated problem. It's the same problem that Facebook basically is trying to fix, or rather they used to, as far as I read, because like a lot of people are consuming. It's the same thing with Instagram and so forth, all these social media platforms. They want to find a way to add content in an automated fashion that is relevant to the person, because most people are just there to read, they're not there to write. And that I have the exact same problem. And that is absolutely, even by modern standards, for a lot of people, a very complicated problem. And that's the sort of thing that gets me excited, because it's something where I don't know how to fix it. Not right now, but that's the thing about experience, or in challenging yourself to be better. After a little while you try it and you learn about it and so forth, and then you figure it out. And that's the thing, right? Once you have figured it out, it's almost like magic. When you know how the trick works, it becomes a trivial problem. Like it becomes something where you just know how to do it. You practice a little bit, and then now you have to go and figure out what the next thing is. And after this, I don't really know what more there is. I don't know. Building Skynet, maybe? Yeah. Anywho, so what I want you to take away from this is that, well, yes, I definitely enjoy having a challenging problem. I need it to feel fulfilled. And it's been that way pretty much since forever for me, because I just don't enjoy having, I don't enjoy being bored. And to me, doing something which is not relaxing, or like something that I feel like it's not stimulating, or it's not challenging to do it, is not worth it to me. Because I basically believe that the best course of action for anybody to be happy is to be in a constant state of trying to improve their personal strength. And I believe that you can only increase your personal strength by trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be, and that requires challenges and strife. Because, well, basically if you have no challenges in life, you won't be forced to grow as a person. And so you can of course have natural challenges in life by living in a part of the world where it's hard or so forth, and trying to overcome those challenges. Or you can simulate your own challenges by picking jobs, or putting yourself in situations where you have to figure out how to do things, right? And that's the approach that I've been lucky enough to be forced to use to do this. And I do the same thing in work. And the problem is that the better you get at solving these challenges, the more difficult the challenges you're going to have to try to find. And at this point, I need usually quite a lot of difficult challenges in order to feel stimulated. Even at my job, where most of the challenges that I have are human challenges, this sort of thing that you mean even the senior software developers have an issue figuring this out, because it's not, it's one of those problems where it's office politics rather than it is coding related. It feels almost trivial to me at this point, because I know that if I just do this and I do that, I'm going to be able to do the thing that they want me to do, even though it's like an army of people who have already failed doing so, because I've done it so many times that I know how to do it. It just takes time, and that's not fulfilling. But on the other hand, when it comes to doing something that I'm not really so sure about how am I going to do this, that's really fun, because I find the journey of discovery of the answer to be very, very stimulating. Have a great day.